Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to the Steam 2 video, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my favorite Warlock build this season. This is pretty much the build that's been getting me through any of the GMs that I throw at it. No matter what GM you go into, this build is always going to be good, and you're always going to be able to deal with pretty much anything. And it's overall just my favorite build to run this season. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already. And also follow me on Twitch, we'll be streaming a lot over there, so make sure you come by and say hi. So now let's get into it, and first let's start with the exotics I've been using. So for the exotic piece of armor, we are still on the getaway artist. These things were very powerful last season, but with some of the changes to Amplified, they essentially just got better. So we still have the benefits that we used there before with the Arc Buddy. Now on top of it, we are also just tankier thanks to all that damage assistance. So I made this already SD exotic for like endgame content, even better this season, so I've been abusing it as much as I can. And thanks to a lot of things that we have on this build, where we get grenades back very quickly, especially when there's a lot of ads around, we're constantly just consuming that grenade, getting our Arc Buddy, and the damage assistance basically all the time. Now for the exotic weapon, I actually kind of been messing around with many different ones this season. So you could technically actually go with any exotic primary here, any of the good ones, like the Bets, the Graviton Lance, the Lemon Arc's also been very useful this season. But my favorite without doubt has been the Bets Myth class. It's a fusion rifle, so it can stun champions and also take advantage of particle construction. And it also does a ton of damage with its exotic perk, especially against champions. Basically, every time they have this thing charged up, it's an easy way of just taking out any champion that you run into. So not only is it good against ads, it's actually good against some of those bigger enemies as well. Especially with particle construction, this thing can put up a hell of a lot more damage than you would expect. Now for the subclass, we are still on the Prismatic Warlock. Prismatic is still super strong on Hunter and Warlock, and so we are just again on the Prismatic Warlock. For your super, I still feel Song of Flame, it is just a cheat code. Every time that you activate it, you're pretty much unkillable. You do tons of ad clear with ignitions, and even some really good single target damage. You just have so much going on that it's hard to not go with Song of Flame. Anytime that you see your teammates go down, you can pop your super, and you just have a very easy way of going out and like getting them. Or if you just need to deal with some big enemies, or just with a big group of enemies, you just pop your Song of Flame, and soon all the ignitions are just gonna destroy everything. It is such a good super, I cannot recommend it enough. For my class ability, I usually stick to the Phoenix Dive. It's something you can do very easily to heal you and your teammates, and it also has a very short cooldown, so you can actually spam it, unlike some of the other riffs. I just really like being able to use it on the move and not having to be stuck on that riff animation. For the melee, I've still been wearing the Arcane Needle. It has a bit of synergy in the artifact with the Unravel, making it so you just spawn a bunch of threat leans. And being able to have 3 charges means that you can usually spam this melee a lot, and while it doesn't do a lot of damage, it does have some synergy with again some of the fragments that we're using. For the grenade, you want to run the Storm Grenade because without the Storm Grenade, the exotic doesn't work. And we're not really going to be throwing the grenade normally, unless you do it by accident, which sometimes does happen. You basically always want to consume your grenade. Now for the aspects, we're running Feed the Void, as well as Bleak Watcher. Bleak Watcher is going to let us spawn a turret every time that we consume our grenade. And this is basically why the Getaway Artist is so good, because every time that you consume your grenade to get your Arc Buddy and get amplified, you're also going to be dropping the turret every single time. And since we're going to be consuming our grenade as much as we can to keep our Arc Buddy and our damage assistance, that means that we're going to be dropping a ton of stasis turrets out there that are going to be helping with ad clear, generating a bunch of Darkness Transcendence energy so we can spam our Transcendence, and also stomping any champions like Unstoppables, Unoverloads, or even some of the barriers. Even if we're not actually stunning the barriers or breaking the barriers with the freezing and the slowing, it is still something very useful that makes dealing with champions just so much easier. When you have a bunch of turrets just slowing and freezing, just everything becomes easier. Now our second aspect, Feed the Void, is going to give us Devour every time that we get a kill with an ability. And this is any sort of ability damage, so our Arc Buddy can proc this, our melee is going to be able to proc this, our super is going to be able to do it, our stasis turrets are able to proc it, so this is going to be something that we're going to be able to proc very easily. And once we get Devour going, it's going to be very easy to keep up, since every time that we get a kill, we extend Devour. And when we have Devour, every single kill that we get will give us health, as well as give us some grenade energy, so we can spam some more grenades. And this is one of the best things about the Prismatic Warlock, that it gives you tons of survivability, while at the same time giving you tons of grenade energy so you can spam more turrets and basically always have an arc buddy and that damage resistance from Amplified. Devour is just fantastic and it works into this build really well. Now moving on to the fragments, the first one you want to go with is going to be with the faceted protection. This is going to give us extra damage resistance whenever we're surrounded, and this was just really good for any sort of like endgame activity. Just having a bit more damage resistance can be the difference between you dying or being able to tank a bit more damage and letting you heal with Devour. So I definitely recommend that you keep this on, especially for any endgame activity. After that, we're going to have the Faceted Sacrifice. Every time that we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, any ability Final Blows will give us bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. Since we're going to be throwing out so many abilities, and a lot of the time we're going to have Devour, that means that every time that we get a kill with an ability, we're going to get a bit more Darkness Transcendence energy. It essentially is just going to help us get to that Transcendence a little faster, so we can pop it and just start throwing a bunch of abilities out there. The next one is also related to building up Transcendence, is Faceted Devotion. Whenever we defeat some stasis or strand debuff targets, it gives us bonus like Transcendence energy. And this applies to everything that's frozen or slowed or something that's hit with our melee. So that means that we're always going to be getting a bit of that extra energy for the light side. We're just going to be building constantly both light and dark, so popping Transcendence is something you constantly want to do, since it's something that we build up just very quickly. After that, we're going to have the Faceted Ruin, and this is going to increase the size of our Stasis Shatters and also our Solar Ignitions, meaning that they can just affect things in a bigger area, giving them even more ad clear and also a bit more damage. And this is going to be fantastic since we can actually use both of them. Our Stasis Turret is going to be able to use the extra shadow damage, while our Super is going to be able to use those increased Ignitions to be able to ad clear even more effectively. And lastly, we're going to have the Faceted Dawn. This is going to be a very easy way of getting Radiant whenever we hit something with our power melee. And since we're going to be getting tons of melees, this is just something we can proc constantly, giving our weapons even more damage and also some barrier. But that's not really going to come into play too often, since all of our weapons already are going to have an anti-champion mod. But 20% extra damage on all our weapons from Radiant is going to be very nice, especially when going against some of the bigger enemies like champions, bosses, mini bosses. It's going to be fantastic to have that bit of extra damage. Now for the weapons, you want to pair up with your exotic weapon. You pretty much just kind of want to match them to the other champions. If you have Tanishas, then this thing pretty much can cover every single champion in the game, and it gives you a lot more freedom to like mess around with some of the heavies. But even if you don't have it, this setup right here will let you take care of everything. The sidearm for the barriers, the Bet's Class for the unstoppables, and then the machine gun for the overloads. And also we have a couple of other mods that work really well with the machine gun, and just gotta push it to be even better. Now for the mods that are running on this build. First of all, here we have all of our anti-champions. Luckily they're all here right next to each other. You also want to have Volatile Marksman, especially if you went with a Void machine gun. This is going to give you a bit of extra class ability energy and just some free volatile rounds. Hold the line, this is going to be really good if you went with a machine gun. It gives you increased reload speed, stability, and also it heals you on final blows. Dreadful Finisher is just really good for keeping up with ammo. Every time that you finish a big enemy like a champion, you get guaranteed special ammo for you and also your teammates. Horrid Shotos is going to be pretty good. It has some synergy with our melee. Every time that we hit something with our melee and continue to do damage, they'll spawn some threat leans. And we have the boosted version, those threat leans will also suffer targets, so it's pretty nice. And we're also going to be running gold from lead, meaning that every time we pick up special, there's also a chance that we get some heavy. This one's really nice and just makes it so we can always have some heavy, so we can keep spamming our machine gun. And lastly, on this final column, I had Particle Deconstruction. Since our bets is our main weapon, we're always taking advantage of that, always doing extra damage. And also the Defibrillating Blast, because we're using this mostly in GMs, we're stunning a bunch of champions, so being able to trigger a bolt charge, healing, and also jolting everything around the champion is fantastic, especially because we can deal with every single champion with this build, and this just adds a lot more, and it's just really good in any activity that there's champions. And lastly, let's take a look at the mods that we're running on this build. First of all, we're running Heavy Ammo Scout, Heavy on Finder, and Harmonic Siphon, so we can make some orbs with our bets, as well as get some more heavy for us and also our teammates. For the gauntlets, we're going to be running 2 impact inductions and a focusing strike, so whenever we do damage with our melee, we're going to be recharging both our class ability and also our grenade. For the chest piece, this is just where we run our resistances, nothing really special here. This changes pretty much with whatever the GM you're doing, so make sure that you check the threat before going into any of the GMs. For the boots, we're going to have Absolution, Orbs of Restoration, and Recuperation. Every time we pick up some orbs, we heal, as well as get some ability energy. And lastly, for the class item, we're going to have Outreach, Bomber, and Reaper. Reaper's going to let us make some more orbs after using a class ability, and Bomber and Outreach will recharge both our melee and our grenade whenever we use our class ability. And since we're going to be trying to use our class ability as much as we can, pretty much every time that we have it up, we should be able to proc these fairly often. And now you pretty much have everything to take this build into any GM and do pretty well. I am surprised that this build actually got better. It was already pretty good last season, but I definitely didn't expect it to get better this season. And I think this is like a timeless build that's always going to be good. I'm not really sure what could happen to make this build not be good. It just seems like one of those types of builds that are going to be constantly good without having to worry about relying on the artifact. There's some things that we can take advantage of the artifact, but even without the artifact, this build would still be amazing. And you would just have to basically shuffle the weapons around for some champions. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys give this build a try. I'm sure it's not really new to a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys may have seen versions of this build, but this is the one that I recommend for this season. Like always, there's going to be a dim link in the description in case you guys want to try it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.